In the past, the Roman Catholic Church had control over all affairs in the Philippines, including that of the states. Church and state functioned as a single entity. The Roman Catholic clergy gave the Spanish monarchy the responsibility of promoting, maintaining, and defending the Roman Catholic religion in all Spanish dominions overseas. During the Spanish rule in the Philippines, according to Marcelo H. del Pilar, the friars controlled all the fundamental forces of society in the Philippines. However, the clergy abused their power, and so the people disliked them more and more, and eventually, popular discontent ensued and multiple uprisings followed. The ties between the church and state were falling apart. In 1898, Spain ceded the Philippines to the United States. Based on the idea of the separation of the church and states that was founded in the United States, Filipino nationalists framed the Constitution for an independent Philippine Republic with the separation of church and state in Article 5. However, this provision only passed by a single vote. Today, in the most recent Constitution of the Philippines, the separation of church and state is still included. In the 1987 Constitution, Article 2, Section 6 states, "The separation of church and state shall be inviolable." But why did the framers vote to have the separation of the church and state?
So introduce yourself.
I'm Michelle. I'm from Makati, and I'm a kagawad in one of the villages in Makati. I used to be the SK chairperson, Sangguniang Kabataan, but they took that out, and now I'm a kagawad. So I'm in charge of the youth and sports development and the women and children's department.
So here's a question. What do you think is the primary reason why there is separation between the church and state?
I think the primary reason is that the church has a lot of traditions and it focuses a lot on actions, that it's hard to get the people to have the same heart as the ones who are from church, or the ones who actually support what the church wants. So because they have a different heart, it's hard to get people to people who are going to church to also implement the rules and follow the rules that are set by the government, because the government people are also the ones who attend church, or, well, mostly, especially here in the Philippines, because majority is Christians here in the Philippines.
Do you think that the church and state should function as a single entity?
I don't think it's supposed to be like written on stone. It's just supposed to happen. It's supposed to be like, it's just a given that they're supposed to be able to work together and collaborate together, because it's different when you tell them that they have to work together, because you can't force something. Just like what I said, when they don't have the same heart, it's different. You can't force them to just cooperate, because we know where that leads to. We know that it doesn't work out when people don't have the same heart, when people have different values, different things they prioritize.
What do you think is the current relationship situation of the state and church in our country?
I think right now the church and the state is very, they keep contradicting each other. I think they see it as it's about power, like who's stronger, and I don't think it should be like that, but that's what happens because of the church wants to enforce their rules, the government wants to enforce their rules, but the same heart, they don't have the same heart, they don't have the same, values or what they believe in. So that's what happens. It contradicts, and today you can see it in a lot of things, like an Arch Bill and all these other laws and rules that were implemented. It's very contradictory, and a lot of times I believe it's because of the conflict in the competition in power.
In the past year, there have been many issues regarding this provision. One issue was the RH Bill, which is now the RH Law. The Catholic Church strongly opposed this bill, influencing the votes of many of the politicians for a long time. The church and state fought hard for 14 years before this law was enacted. That interference by the Catholic Church somehow violated the law because they imposed what they believe is morally good to people who don't even share their belief by influencing the laws of the land that affect everybody in the Philippines. Now, would this really have happened if there really were a separation of the church and state?
Good afternoon. Hi, good afternoon. We're students from LaSalle College of St. Camille. This is for our government class. What is your full name?
My name is Juanita San.
For the first question, what do you think is the primary reason why there is separation between church and state?
I believe that the church and state are two different entities. The church is responsible for the spiritual needs of the people, and the church, I think, takes care of the temporal and their collective in nature.
What happens to the country if church and state are separated? What will happen to it? Or what are the effects of if you separate the church and state?
As I said again, they are two different entities, two different institutions, and they should not meddle with each other, since the church again is takes care of the spiritual needs and their personal, and the state is collective, I think, and takes care of the temporal needs of the people.
What do you think is the current relationship of the church and state in our country today?
Right now, I think the church in the Philippines, churches in the Philippines makes considerable influence on the, especially on Filipino politics and public opinion. Like, for instance, in the, I think it's 1986 revolution, the church is very active in influencing, taking part in that people power revolution. And also the RH bill, they're really taking part in influencing public opinion.
As the upcoming presidential election draws nearer, another issue arises. Does the church have any influence on which candidates the people will vote for?
Hindi naman sagabal yung religion sa election.
Depends, because if the person who has the same religion as me have the skills to lead the nation, why not? But if he doesn't have the skills, then I would rather vote someone else.
Sa akin po hindi. Kasi hindi naman, pag katulad ng sa amin, Katoliko kami, tapos yung iba tumatakbo na katulad yung presidente na yung ibang reliyon. Siyempre, hindi naman pwede na sabihin mo, Iglesia ni Cristo siya, hindi siya pwedeng putuin. So pag po, kung maganda siya malakad, wala pong problema.
No, I'm fine with any particular religion as long as they have the clear vision and they have good track record.
Not necessarily the same religion, but hopefully with the same belief.
Okay. Iba kasi yung pagkakaano ng sa religion kaysa sa sarili. Kumbaga iba din yung usapan yung sa pang-religion lang. Iba din yung sa politik.
No. Religion isn't really something I consider when I'm voting for politicians or anything like that. So I don't consider religion, or I'm not biased with their religion talaga.
Depende. It doesn't really matter kasi kung ka-religion ko nga pero corrupt, very senseless din.
Yes po. Kasi isang religion sa pinagbabasihan ko na kung okay ba yung isang politiko o hindi. Sir, bakit? Bale, hindi naman po di ba nakikita yung paraan ng pagboboto with the religion. Kailangan every individual, meron din tayo mga freedom. So, tayo yung may kalayaan na pumili kung sino dapat yung pipiliin natin na hindi natin dapat sundin yung religion natin.
It doesn't really matter because just as long as there's change.
In recent years that I've voted, I have not voted for anyone Catholic.
Para sa akin, hindi naman yun sa mga religion. May sarili kasi silang pag-iisip kung sino pipiliin nila or or sino ibuboto nila. Kaya wala yan sa mga religion.
My answer is no, because it depends really on the person. Even though you're same religion with that person, if that person doesn't have the skills to politically govern the Philippines, then I'd rather vote for a person rightful for the place.
Most people, when asked if they would be more likely to vote for someone of the same religion, answered no. It seems that voters choose the candidates based on their qualifications. Based on the interviews, religion or the church has no direct influence on voters. People do not vote for a candidate who is of the same religion as them. However, after researching, the values and suggestions of the church might sway voters, though not directly, so that religion does play a role. For example, Catholic leaders suggest to the Catholics whom they should vote for and whom they shouldn't. However, there is one group that directly influences the votes of their followers, and that is the Iglesia ni Cristo. Their leaders demand that they all vote in the same way.
Hello, can you please introduce yourself? I'm Susan Labaya. I work with government and I'm retired. I think I'm pretty much familiar with your subject matter because I went to UP, I was an upstand, and like I said, being in the government, we had pretty much interaction with church groups, and I was working on anti-poverty programs.
Thank you. We have some questions here for you. The first one is, do you think that the church and state should function as a single entity?
I do not think that the church and the state can function as a single entity. The 1987 Philippine Constitution is very specifically provides under Article 2 and Section 6 that there should be such separation of the state and church. In an article that Archbishop Oscar Cruz had written, points to three basic and very practical reasons for such separation. He says that while each and every individual is a citizen of a state, not all citizens are members of a church. He also says that while the basic interest of the state is in the realm of temporal order, we should go by law, rules, and regulations. The fundamental concern of the church is in the spiritual realm. When the church has and follows a political structure, the church subscribes to and acts in the ecclesiastical or religious order. I don't think we would like to be like some country where the head of state is also the head of the church.
The second question is, what do you think is the current relationship situation of the state and church in our country?
Unfortunately, when we talk about separation of the church and state nowadays, parang very negative. We claim that there is such a separation, but we also know the church continues to exert influence on political decisions. The continuing feud between the Catholic Church and the state under RH bill law has become so divisive even among the Catholics. And it is also very discouraging to see religious groups use their numbers to influence not only appointments to public offices, but also, they try to influence results of elections. And very unfortunate, and I venture to say that usually there's leadership selection of people they want to be involved in public offices and in elected officials are not really the selection of the group.
Thank you. The third question is, do you think collaboration of the church and state is a necessity?
Oh yeah, I think that there should be such a collaboration. If only our politicians and public servants govern with moral conscience, based on Christian faith, and would you would be avoiding a lot of problems that you read in the newspapers today. The church or religious orders, religious groups should double time in their role as providing moral fiber to our people, our countrymen. On a more practical partnership, there should be collaboration of the church and the state, especially in addressing poverty and uplifting the general welfare of our countrymen. The state or the government can provide a general framework with the programs and projects, tested best practices for church NGOs to help implement programs. The national government agencies should partner with church-based and I even venture to say that probably government funds can be channeled through them for such programs as health, microfinance, nutrition, education, and even peace initiatives. I would say that church-based NGOs can provide, better accountability and hopefully maximum implementation of these programs and projects. We've had enough with politicians who have to recoup their election expenses. Churches, but what they stand for, should be more effective in inculcating the value of hard work, discipline, as these are taught with teaching Christian, these are tucked in with teaching Christian values. I think the church, religious groups, can be the angel, guardian angel, to see to it that we have more meaningful programs and projects for the upliftment of our people.
According to the Philippine Constitution, the separation of church and state shall be inviolable. But so far, this provision seems to not be followed. Since most people in the Philippines are part of a religion, the church will influence their beliefs in certain issues. The church and the state cannot be completely separated now. The church plays a huge part in the Filipino culture. Because of the Filipinos' history of church and state working as one, becoming separated will take many more years. The separation of church and state in the Philippines is yet to become inviolable.